Yeah, as far as sexuality, I don't know if you have heard of this research. They practiced research on the bodies, the corpses of lesbians and gays,
Mm-hmm.
and just to see if there were some area that would be different. And lo and behold, there is an area near the hypothalamus that gets formed in our pre-birth time, just in the last weeks of pregnancy. Of course, the child will not need sexual attraction
Right.
before that, so you understand that it's a little late in pregnancy that this will be formed. Of course, the genitalia is at the very beginning being built, formed, but our sexual attraction zone in our brain, because it's not just gays and lesbians, there's so many other possibilities to be attracted sexually. To know the importance of the well-being of the pregnant woman in the last weeks, 4 last weeks of pregnancy, how paramount this is. If you don't have that oxytocin that flows with the well-being, you'll have all those catecholamines, all these hormones of the family of adrenaline, and they are contrary to growth and development in the womb. One of the reasons why chronic stress is so detrimental during pregnancy is that it prevents the very cells and tissues to develop the way they're supposed to, and they start being in defensive mode. They grow much less, they spend much less energy, and of course, one day to deal with chronic stress, you know you have a lesser person. In Cornell University, Peter Nathaniel says anybody can loud up a Shakespeare. I mean, you can have a brilliant genetic material, but if the amount of stress, of adrenaline, the absence of growth fostering hormones is there, that absence will make for a much lesser capacitated baby. You are not having the being you conceived. You're having a being who already has changed his way of being to obey to your perception of life. That is, life is a tragedy. It's a horror. We have to protect ourselves. We go on defense mode, like a country that would only go for the military versus another country that wants to expand its culture and exchange with other nations. It's so heavy. If we could embrace this cause and invest in infant structure, that would be fantastic. The first nation that will do it, just because of the vanity of their politicians perhaps, will be one of the major examples for the others.
It's the adrenal gland overactivity that puts people into that exact description of what you were saying.
Yeah.
And it's in our food and our water, it's in our media, and it's in our training, and it's in our programming to be over-sexual, under-sexual, overstimulated, unstimulated, over-hormoned or under-hormoned. And it's rare when a male and a female come together and their frequencies of hormones match.
Interesting.
Okay. And now our culture, our cultural taboos, and the things we don't like to talk about, which is where conflicting belief systems amongst mothers and fathers create the greatest tragedy in raising children.
Yes, it is true. How was it for you, that first sexual encounter, first sexual attraction? How did you feel? How were you moved?
Oh, as a very young kid, watching television, whenever there was something on the TV that was like a kissing scene, or even just regular plain TV, it was nothing spectacular, I had to leave the room.
Because you would feel
I feel it in everyone in the room, in the television, and then everyone. I was an extreme empath. I mean, I'm a very different person growing up. Like the neighbors, like I had, we lived on a cul-de-sac. I could feel every neighbor in the neighborhood. There was well over 100 of them.